Oh yeah, we're just gonna like talk to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's how it works. That's how talk shows go.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome to the show. This is Peak Perspectives with Team Ascent. Got a longtime fan and friend and teammate Easton Douglas with me. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is an honor.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. It's been something we've been talking about for a long time, obviously, and it's good to get it done. And obviously, I haven't talked to you about Worlds since you've been back because I've been holding off for the show.
It's true. Yeah. You actually haven't even congratulated me. Nothing.
Well, you finally won a tournament this past weekend, so I figured it's time to have you on the show. Time to start the show.
Yeah. Top 4 Worlds wasn't good enough for you. I had to win some random Living Legend tournament, huh?
Yeah, well, if you don't do it with Starvo, you're not really playing Flesh and Blood, and you're not really in a skill-based kind of environment, but that's all right. We're proud of you for what you did at Worlds, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today.
Cool.
Obviously, you're some rank on the ELO rating, but we all know that ELO doesn't really mean anything.
True.
Very true, but congratulations nonetheless.
Thank you.
I obviously bragged to my family about being ranked like 3,000th or something, but
it's basically the same.
It's basically the same thing. I mean, I'm one tournament away.
It's true. Yeah, literally one tournament away.
One big finish away. But anyways, I know you haven't talked about your like world performance and like your tournament throughout the weekend. Kind of wanted to talk to you about that. So
sure.
Tell me about your experience. What was your run like?
Yeah, so
yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, moving off of that, I know that's one of your bigger accomplishments. We're all very proud of you. But this past weekend, you won a Living Legend event.
Yes,
with Starvo.
This is what's putting me on the map.
This is what's putting you on the map. It's what's putting us on the map.
That's yes.
Yeah, we're known for our Living Legend events. But yeah, like outside of your slab dash deck, what is your favorite Flesh and Blood hero?
Old Him.
Old Him.
Yeah. So when I started playing the game, it was like Tales of Aria spoiler season, and say hello. This is my cat Pending.
This is Pending the cat.
That's Frankie the dog.
Frankie the dog is back there. Yeah.
So it was during spoiler season, and when I saw Old Him, I was like, "Yep, that's the one for me."
Yeah.
And yeah, so I played only Oldhim for a long time. I played Oldhim before it was good or popular.
Right.
It was still good, but it wasn't popular, But I love ice heroes in general. I love Lexi. I like Dash a lot too. That was my actual first one because Tails wasn't out when I actually started. But
well, I remember like one of the first times we ever hung out, and you were even came to this house for the first time. We were both playing Old Him before Old Him was cool.
Yeah.
And we played like an hour and a half long mirror, and I just remember trying to block you out, and you being like, "You have to attack me!"
Yeah. That was early.
That was very early on. Yeah.
You started playing the game before I did,
Right? Yeah, I played starting in Monarch.
Yeah. And that was the first time I met you. I remember I was just trying to like make inroads with people in the community because I moved out to Colorado alone. Like I left all of my Magic friends behind, and so. Yeah, I was just trying to find like good players to play with, and instead I found you. But
huge mistake.
but that was one of those like I think you posted on like our Discord like you're gonna make this little social hangout. And I was just some random guy that nobody cares about, similar to how I am today. And I was like, let me come and jam some cards with you guys. And you're like, all right, I guess. And that's where I met a lot of people. That's where I met Chris for the first time.
Yeah, I think Casey and Kendra were over here, I believe.
I had interacted with them a little bit at like Tales pre-release.
Right, yeah.
But like Chris Brown, that was the first time I met him. So
because I remember like distinctly, I remember seeing you at an event or something the week before or whatever.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, God, why is this guy so good at the game already? This pisses me off. Like I've been playing for like 4 months and I don't understand anything. But obviously we met, and I love you. So you're a great friend and a good guy. So
You love me, Matt?
yes,
This is the first time he said this, by the way. This is a beautiful moment.
on camera.
This is a beautiful moment.
Mostly pending.
Yeah.
But you're all right, I guess, too.
Yeah. Well, we're a package deal.
You're a package deal. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're a really funny guy, and I think we have similar sense of humor, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty fun, not funny. It's up to interpretation. It's up to the viewers, probably. Or
I don't think we've been very funny so far.
Yeah, it hasn't been a funny podcast at all. Or sorry, this is a talk show. I cannot believe it is strictly prohibited to call this a podcast.
And yet you, the host of the talk show.
This is a talk show.
It's a talk show. Yeah.
Because we have mugs.
Is it the mugs that does it?
I think it's the full body shot.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not really sure.
Okay.
What makes the difference, but it definitely is. It's the first Flesh and Blood talk show.
It is, yeah.
And it's the best Flesh and Blood talk show.
Well, yeah.
Unless someone releases one before I post this.
You better post this fast.
I gotta post it immediately.
You gotta post it fast. Yeah.
I mean, so obviously you've been lambasted. I don't know if that's a word. For asking Brian Gottlieb if he read a card.
I was gonna pretend like I just knew what that word meant. I was gonna be, I've definitely been that. Yeah.
My assumption, and I'm assuming I'm wrong, is that it means you've been ridiculed.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's what it sounds like. But
yeah. I hope you just made up a word that doesn't really exist because it was so specific. Lambasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got heroes on the mind.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, Codex of Frailty, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a card.
It's one of my favorite cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's very strong.
It is very strong.
And I played Lexi a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you want to talk about Codex of Frailty?
I want to just talk about powerful cards in general.
Okay.
And why I think that we need more of them.
Okay.
I'm hoping Heavy Hitters releases like 10 more versions of Pulverize.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. By powerful, you mean literally like highest number in the right-hand corner. That's what, or left-hand corner. Where's the attack? Is it left or right? I don't know. I think it's left-hand corner.
I feel like it's the bottom left.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get to the point where I feel like I know what the card does, and then I don't even look at it when I play.
Oh, that's me 100%. Yeah. I read cards like once, and then I never read them again.
I think it was in an interview you gave, like at Worlds or something.
Yeah.
And you couldn't remember the name of a card you played.
A lot of people have told me that they enjoyed that, maybe at my expense. But yeah, I there were several cards that I was trying to explain. I was like, yeah, the card that gives me 2 resources a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So how powerful cards are cool. How do you like what are your favorite powerful cards, and why do you like them in the game?
Well, I mean, right now I think Spark of Genius is my favorite powerful card.
Yeah.
Feels similar to Codex of Frailty, except it's not as miserable to play against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dash IO obviously has like some insane high roll potential.
Yeah.
Which is why I like playing her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that powerful cards can be as powerful as like Infecting Shot, where it's just like a strict upgrade to every single like raw damage number you can get. And obviously this is a math game, and I know we've talked about how we don't really like, deck construction is how do you make every single card worth 4.
Mm-hmm.
But that is kind of where the game is. So hopefully there will be more, although based on spoilers of the 0 for 4 block cards and stuff, it's going to still be like that's the premium. But I like cards like Sonata when it had Scaletta to go along with it. Awakening, obviously, you had your first experience playing that card this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it is quite an exciting moment to cast it.
That's a good card.
Yeah,
that's a good card.
I mean, you watched me cast it. In reactions, you go above your opponent, and you still get to play.
Yeah,
a free Pulverize.
That's my favorite thing. I started doing when playing Starvo is just trying to like arsenal my first Awakening, and then waiting till I get my second. And then just going like Awakening, my turn, before damage, Awakening again, just boom, boom. It's quite good. Yeah.
It's quite good. I mean, it's definitely demoralizing to play against, but...
Well, I think Codex could be that way too sometimes.
Codex can be demoralizing, yeah.
I think, and I won't go too in-depth about this, but I think powerful cards are good, fun, important for the game, important for people to get excited to... understand how to like build a winning strategy, all this stuff. But they need to come at a cost. There needs to be a cost, and I think that the cost associated with putting Codex in your deck is just it's almost non-existent. Because it blocks. It's a pitch card. It's the downside of discarding a card is not actually one. It's just it's the tiniest of hoops to jump through. It's like end your turn empty-handed. It's like you always can control that. The only time you can't is when they declare no attacks, and you're like, oh, I have this extra card. So sad. I have full tempo. You know.
Oh no, I have to discard it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you look at cards like Channel Mount Heroic. It requires you to have a handful of like Earth Blues in your deck, which are not very good. And there's a cost there. You know, you lose something by having that. Art of War doesn't block. You know. Codex doesn't really have a cost associated to it, and so to get something like 8+ value out of a card that it just kind of gives it to you, it just hands it to you, that's what feels really bad. It's like, oh, I was playing this really tight game where my cards are worth somewhere in the range of 3 to 5 points of value, and yours are worth that much. We're going back and forth, and we're trying to eke out the advantage, and then suddenly you say Codex, you know.
You just draw a hand that's blue, arrow, Codex.
You draw
you shoot
any
3 cards and end with an arsenal.
Yeah, or
it's a beautiful thing.
It's good on it's insane in a 1-card hand, and it's insane in a 5-card hand. You know, there's no downside, there's no penalty there. So I think I would love to see them design powerful cards, but I would love to see them have deck building requirements and some real risks associated with them.
Definitely seems like way more of a fair card in like an assassin deck than it did in Lexi. Lexi just abused it. But
part of that is because the assassin class is relatively underpowered. You know, you sort of like that you take you accept a bunch of really, really poor turn cycles from a math perspective just so you can have a huge boon on those. That's not necessarily as fun as having a class with many interesting and powerful tools. You know, when you're just playing to maximize one card, you know, not as fun.
Yeah, not as fun. I am excited for the new Arachne specialization. Seems like it will be fun. Although they just printed new Luminara, so that class has already been invalidated yet again.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I guess they don't really have a lot of poppers in their pool.
Well, not really the issue, but what I'm assuming is every single deck will run 9 Herald of -1 attack, whatever that one's called.
Yeah.
And so every single deck that relies on their 6 power cards just have no game into it anymore.
Yeah.
Which is probably fine, I guess. I mean, that deck has sucked ever since Dusk Till Dawn was released.
Yeah.
But it's Prism, so I automatically don't like it.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm open to it. The thing about
they are releasing a set full of big attacks.
Yeah.
So I'm a little like reactionary, I think. I don't want to go back to playing like slow Guardian decks.
Yeah,
but
I just wish that you know, I was the focus of the Twitter fab world for a while when I made my Codex take. You know?
That was awesome. People still reference that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hilarious.
And that's fair. But also, I made that take after a lot of testing and then playing in a tournament. You know, and the timing and the way I talked about it maybe wasn't perfect, but.
You were right.
I was. I would like to think I'm right.
Maybe not in that you read the card part, but it's not a fair card at all.
It is not a fair card, and I think that people need to understand. They need to get games with cards, and they need to understand what a card means in the context of an entire format. You know, we still have a whole set to be released, and we have a lot of games of a lot of different matchups to jam. When I point out maybe some issues with a card, it's only ever going to be after a lot of experience playing with it. You know, calm down. Let's see. And maybe it's busted, but maybe it's fine.
We'll see. I mean, well, at that point in time, you were working on a 9 codex list, which was just all of them. It was the most fun deck to play.
Yeah, it was very fun.
And you insisted that you weren't supposed to run all 9 at one time, but I never listened to that.
Yeah, you run like 6 total, and then you switch out the other one, but you always run the.
But every night, well, I can't remember when Warmongers was released, but there was a couple of games where I've been Warmongers and was just like happily calling peace because I was like, Blood Codex, and into inertia codex and
Yeah.
to give you frostbites, and we'll say peace this turn, and next turn we won't be so peaceful.
We had a lot of fun names for Lexi decks during that time period.
Dodecahedron or whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the one that everyone was like. It was a really cringy name that everyone gave me a lot of crap for. But yeah, it was because I actually only it was one book short of a Codexahedron.
That's what it was. Yeah. Well, I don't know anything about geometry, but
yeah, well. It checked out.
I know enough to understand that it's referencing it.
But we had Book Burner Lexi. We had Well-Read Lexi. My favorite one leading up to PT3, where we built our Counter Fatigue Lexi deck, was Lexi has the answers to all questions.
Yeah, I mean, I played that deck in the calling or whatever that was going on at the same time. And it's like Lexi is like one of the most fun decks ever.
Yeah.
Dash.io has now replaced that for me in a deck that is, you draw a lot of cards. You can do stuff going second when your opponent passes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just dump out 30 damage out of nowhere just because the cards line up right.
It's so fun.
It is so fun.
I love Lexi.
Yeah. But you immediately dropped her as soon as she became the best deck in the format. Explain yourself. Is that a high EV decision? Emotional value?
I wasn't playing. So I played her in PT3. You know?
Yeah.
So I played her when it was definitely the play, you know. And then after that I took a long break. And when I came back to the game, I was excited to just explore a new hero. And I was excited that Oldhim left, and I thought that Dorinthia was like a nice like silver bullet for that meta. And I felt like I had a positive matchup into Lexi, into Icelander, into some of these best heroes. So yeah, I was happy to play her in the one event that I played of that format.
Yeah. I'm remembering now that I played Kano at whatever that calling was. I think it was Indy. And because we were on the plane playing Lexi versus Kano games.
That's not that one, but that's fun.
One?
Yeah, that's a fun picture. We had we were on the same flight, which maybe we knew, but maybe we didn't.
No idea. I rolled up to the terminal. I was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah. And then we happened to be sitting right next to each other, except with the middle seat in between us not taken. And so
the equipment zone.
The equipment zone, as we call it. So we had like our 3 trays in the zone.
It was the small trays too.
Yeah, like tiny, and we were trying to play the game. Actually, it kind of worked pretty well.
I think I got one game off you that day.
Yeah. I mean, tough matchup for Kano.
I mean, and then the next day I went in and I lost to like 5 straight Drome Eyes or something.
Yeah, you just got all the Drome Eyes. That's when they were big dragons, like blues and stuff.
It's like turn 1, it's like, all right, I play something, and then I have 3 Ashwings out, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Not like this. I can't interact with you.
Yeah.
But Kano, big news nowadays. Strong deck. If you don't run Arcane Barrier, it's very easy to lose to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a huge fan.
Use protection, kids.
Yes, use protection. Like I've been describing it as if you played against a Katsu and you just like laid your hand down every single turn and said, I can't block you, they would also kill you in 2 turns.
I can't believe this past weekend people were on 0 AB.
Yeah,
like Peter
directly
had literally just top 8'd, and it was like all the buzz, and they register 0 AB. You know,
0 AB is not enough.
It's not enough.
I mean, there are decks that deal arcane damage outside of
especially as wasn't it assassins that were doing 0 AB?
It was in Uzuri with 0 AB, and I'm certain they have.
You're
3
not even
decks
fast. Like if you're a Phi, you can maybe sell me on like I'm just gonna race them, and I need
if they don't draw Wildfire, I win.
I need my equipment for offensive purposes. Blah blah blah. You could make an argument.
I mean, there aren't even 60 good assassin cards.
There aren't even 60 good assassin cards. So what? Is this a space issue?
It's hubris.
Yeah.
Another made up word.
Well, that one, I think that one's a real one.
All right.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just say the words that I've heard other people say.
Yeah.
That sound smart.
Yeah. Well, that's how you sound smart to others. It's not by saying smart things. It's by saying things in such a way that makes you seem way smarter than you are.
Yeah.
I'm an
expert.
I am an expert at using way too many words to say something very simple and turn that simple thing into something far greater.
Some people say that's being bad at communication.
Some people,
most actually,
might be right. Others might just think I'm smart wrongfully.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have...
It just depends on who I surround myself with,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. When you're around me, you're a freaking genius. But, you know, when you're around someone like Chris, maybe not so much.
Well, he's
a silent, smart type.
He's a concise person.
He's a concise fellow.
He's a concise person, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't ramble and say nonsense like I do.
Yeah.
Or use big words or whatever you're trying to talk about.
Yeah, who knows? You know, sometimes you just start a sentence and you don't know where it's going.
You definitely don't.
But and you don't have a good end point either, you know? And so you got to just find your way there.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. And I allow the person I'm talking to come on that journey with me.
That is nice.
Isn't that nice?
It's kind of like
welcome.
Yeah, you're like a tour guide almost.
I'm a tour guide of all the parts of the English language you don't want to see.
I mean, I don't read, so I don't see any of the English language.
You don't read. You read the card once and then forget about it.
I have it explained to me.
Explained to you, yeah.
I have to have someone. I have to have leave because I remember when Codex came out, like before, like right after it came out. I remember Levi was like, "This card is so good." I'm like, "How is this card good? I don't understand." He's like, "Well, you cast it after you empty your hand." I was like, "Oh, I don't have to know what this card does anymore.
Yeah,
I just know to do that."
Well, so you read because you read it enough to, you know, misunderstand the power.
Yeah,
you know?
That's fair. That's fair. Do you think if it didn't block, it would be a fair card?
I would like it a lot more. Yeah. It will. Yeah. I mean, there's so many knobs you can turn on that card, you know. There's so many ways you can try to make it a little bit more balanced than it is.
But yeah, I mean,
I digress.
But I digress.
But I digress.
The card is what the card is, and it's the best card ever.
Well, I don't know. Awakening's pretty good.
Awakening's only good because there's cards that go with it, though. You know, you need enablement. Like if you cast Awakening without guardian attacks in your deck, it's terrible.
You're right.
I know that's
You're right. I'm only seeing that card through the lens of
playing it in Storm
of having guardians of attacks in the game.
Yeah. I mean, there will be a world where there's no guardian attack. I mean, probably not, right? Because there'll always be illegal like Bravo. But 2 new guardians coming out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, one of them isn't boring as shit.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. If you had the power to ban cards in Living Legend, to try to make it a format where I'm assuming you want Starvo to be relevant but not ubiquitous, right?
Yeah.
If so, how would you try to do that? What do you think is enough?
I mean, I think there's 2 obvious offenders, which is Awakening and Warmonger's Diplomacy. In both of, like, I know in my game against Chain, I won because I cast 2 Awakenings. Your game against Chain, you cast Warmongers, and like it just is a non-game when that happens. So if both of those are removed, Chain all of a sudden has a ton of play again, and you have to try and fatigue them, I think. So you go more defensive Starvo. So I think those 2 bans would probably be good. I don't really know if you want to ban anything else. I think it's not a real format. I mean, whatever, it's a real format, but they should be able to errata cards in Living Legend to be like, if they don't ban those 2 cards, make Oakenold not make that an Oldhim specialization. Because that's the card that's most oppressive in that deck, I think, is when you just 4-card hand Superfuse Oakenold.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, your opponent is just sitting there thinking, why did I even show up to play this game? Yeah. Like, nothing I do matters, and my opponent can just draw a 4-card hand that does everything you could ever want.
What, you're like lore guy, right? You know everything about Flesh and Blood lore, right?
To be sure.
Yeah. What is Oakenold referring to?
Well,
I was just thinking about how it's not an Oldhim specialization and it's him on the artwork, but I'm wondering, is Oakenold referring to him? Is that like an alternate name or something? Or?
I feel like it's referring. Well, I mean, I don't have the card in front of me, but there's a picture of him like standing in front of a door.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's referring to him as a door.
To him as a door?
Yeah. Maybe it's the statue. That's why other decks can use it.
Wait, he is the door?
He's like standing in the way.
He's guarding the door.
He's guarding the door.
Okay.
He's like, can't come in here.
Okay.
If you do, I'll whack you in the face and make you put 2 cards on the bottom of your deck.
Okay.
Yeah. Only if I fuse.
Okay. Yeah. I knew I was asking the right guy.
Yeah, I clearly haven't really dialed in on the lore. I'm a big lore guy. I know that Kano is from Volcorp.
Whoa.
Which is a region in Wraith.
Is that another word you just made up?
Perhaps.
Or maybe.
We'll have to get the fact checkers at YouTube to figure that one out, or wherever this goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the talk show here.
Yeah.
I know this is the first episode. Still working out some kinks, obviously, such as hopefully the audio isn't completely fucked when we go back.
It would be
tragic. Mercy would just have to suffer. She's been saying it has to be crisp.
Yes.
And if it's not crisp, well, too bad. It's going up anyways.
Yes.
We're not doing this again.
Yes. we are not. No, 100%.
I've heard this story about Worlds once. That's way more than enough.
Yeah, that portion was kind of boring, huh?
I mean, well, half the decks you played don't exist anymore, which is a bummer. I loved Icelander when that deck first came out. Yeah. Like I remember, well, another like way back ago kind of memory I have is Everfest Icelander, like Kraken's Aether Vein, one of my favorite cards they've ever made.
Yeah.
And then they immediately invalidated it by printing Waning Moon.
Yeah.
And Kraken's Aether Vein is now gone from the game in every format, which is a huge bummer to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I have very fond memories of that.
Fire breathing. Baby.
Yeah. So we had back when
this was the Viserai Blitz meta.
Yes, this was the Viserai Blitz meta, and I know for me at least, early on the skirmish season, they were a little bit maybe I don't know if there were just less of them or people were more excited about Blitz or something. It just felt like skirmishes were like kind of a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
And we had one at Advantage, which is our local game shop that's kind of known to be the most competitive leaning game shop. And we had like a huge one, big enough for 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And this was when Young Icelander first came out, but before she had her card pool.
Yeah. There's no Ice Wizard cards.
Yeah. And I read, not even Icelander, I read Aether Vein, or Kraken, Aether Vein. Yeah. I don't know the card names. And
Aether Vein is like multiple cards.
I know, right? Yeah. Aether Vein. I was like, that's the card for me. The one card that was named Aether Vein at that point in time.
That's true. Yeah.
That's the card for me. Yeah. And so I built I think one of the very first like Blitz Icelander decks. I mean, maybe other people were doing it in isolation, but I was the first person to like put fire breathing in that deck.
Yeah.
And
I of course immediately copied.
Yeah, and I went 9-0 in that skirmish with Icelander. It was such a pile.
Yeah.
It was the most pile.
I mean, we were running whatever that card is. It's like someone's head is cut off and there's trees and stuff. Just in case Viserai does Skeletta, you cast that and bottom their
what is
Sonata.
This card? What?
It's called. It was like Brain Freeze before Brain Freeze, but they get to draw a card off of it.
What are you talking about? What?
It was a good card. It was a good card.
The
people at home will know what I'm referring to.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea. Ran Scour.
Scour. Those were the two like anti-Viserai tech.
That's the card you're talking about?
Not Scour. No. It's
Scour and. This is really riveting content right now. Watching us try to remember what cards do.
This is the game show portion of the episode.
Yeah. Well, and where we both lose.
And there's no host. There's no point system.
The points don't matter, and thank God, because we'd have 0.
Yeah, we definitely have 0. Either way, there is a pile of cards in there, as you say.
That deck was so bad, but it had the fire breathing finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I could only win games on the back of my opponents having no idea what's happening, because she's not a relevant hero yet. She doesn't have her card pool, So I had people really like kind of trigger shy, like holding extra cards in their hand.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. They don't want to get comboed.
They don't want to be comboed out. Yeah, exactly. And I was just like very defensive, setting up for a 1-2 punch turn to kill with fire breathing. But that was so much fun. That's one of my fondest memories.
Yeah, that deck was awesome.
Yeah.
I know that at that event, I think I went 4-2 or something with the deck. And just being like, I suck at this game. Because you were just like sweeping everybody with it.
Yeah.
It was a fun
but like, I'm good at decks that where there's kind of like maybe some bluffing.
Yeah.
Where if I am posturing from a point of strength, then I can get some sort of advantage.
Yeah.
Because when I'm locked in, I don't give like a ton of reads, I don't think, to my opponent, and I think I can maybe sell some bluffs, and I feel like I got by a lot on just that. Yeah.
I am remembering one of my games against Gavin, who's a local Kano player.
Yeah.
I did East Strike buff power, no cards in hand. He just killed me with wildfire right away. He's like, you're tapped out. Well, you're dead.
That
was a fun format.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
it is like that. I mean, Kano is now gone from Blitz or whatever.
Yeah,
which is obviously super good for the format. I don't think it's any secret that deck was not fun to play against in a format where you have 20 life. But wildfire being banned was fine, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, there were points where Kano got some pretty substantial bans, including Stormstriders.
Stormstriders did get banned at one point, right? And then they released the Emperor.
And Wildfire, right?
Yeah, I think they banned a lot of them at the same. Stormstriders ban was crazy.
But I think he still found some success with that. I mean, they probably didn't ban enough quick enough.
Yeah.
Because some cards just aren't real. I mean, the game is sort of designed for 40 life.
Yeah.
And then you have this other format where the life is cut in half, and you can run one less copy of cards, but otherwise the power level is still the same. And so, it's always been strange. I'm not a huge fan of the format. I would love to see, other. I think there's a lot of cool things you could do with this game. I think that the base rules could be like tweaked slightly, and you could have a lot of very cool games. I would love to see like a singleton format, where you can only have one copy of each card for those. Yeah.
Some decks you just could.
Well, in the future, when things are a little bit more fleshed out.
Anything with a talent is probably really good in that format.
Yeah.
Just like every other format.
When the card pools are a little bit bigger, I'm excited to see what kind of cubes are out there. Yeah. I'm excited to see like singleton formats. And even I wonder if there's something to changing some base rules of the game. Like what happens when you, for example, only like you have a max hand size of 4, but you can only draw up to up 2 cards max per turn or something, and so maybe there's more of like an ebb and flow or more setup, or what if you have like there's just different things you could do,
That idea sounds bad, but
well,
you hold 2 cards so you have a 4 card in the next turn.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting.
You could
whatever deck plays the best 2 card hands.
You can slowly accumulate your big hands or something. Yeah. And the same applies to like block. I don't know.
You're not a game designer yet.
Not yet. But there's it's such a cool game. I want to see other ways that you can experience it.
That's true. And are you excited for PvE that they've been teasing for the past 2 to 3 years?
I'm personally not.
Yeah.
I love that people love to play this game for no other reason than for fun. I love that.
Yeah.
It's very important for the game to survive.
Right.
That ain't me.
Fun sucks.
Well, it's not that. It's not that. It's just that I get I experience fun in a different way.
Yeah. No, I agree with. I mean, you and I are similar. Where like we have the most fun when we're winning, and when we're solving puzzles, and when we're
it's It's not necessarily about the winning.
Well,
that is the ultimate sort of like reward when you successfully do the thing which I think is fun, which is the real-time problem solving, and it's the my brain against your brain, and who's smarter.
That's why I love
the winner
playing.
Is always the smarter one.
That's why I like playing. You have a bad matchup, and I play whatever the deck that beats it. I'm like, I'm so good at this game.
Yeah. No, for sure. You know,
big ego boost at that kitchen table over there.
Yeah. I'm happy to give it to you sometimes.
Yeah, so nice of you. Yeah. And then I go out and lose everywhere.
No, you know, you're I've made my fair share of little tiny jabs throughout this wonderful conversation, but you are getting to be again, there's just this learning curve to card games where if you've never played a game where sequencing, for example, really matters, and you play card games, it's a completely different way of thinking, you know?
I mean, how many times did you tell me to not cast Sigil for no reason?
Oh my God, yeah, and you know, there was like some, Matt, I'm explaining it to you, and you still don't like, because
I just couldn't grasp
it's such a different way of thinking.
It wasn't until someone like cast Sigil against me and revealed the information they had that I was like, oh my God, it's a terrible play.
Yeah. It's this tendency to be cagey with your information, because yes, we're playing a math game, but I think people underestimate how much we're playing an information game. Mm-hmm. What threats have you used? What cards have you pitched? What is possibly in my hand? What's in my arsenal? How much damage output is this turn? You know, do I start blocking now? I don't know. We're playing an information game, and so that's where I think I have strength. Is I think if I want to not give information, I can make sure to do that in a game. And part of that is in moderating my own reactions to events in the game, but a big part of that is the timing of when you do things. So casting Sigil of Solace now, as opposed to at the very last opportunity, it adds a lot of it gives the opponent a lot of information.
Yeah, it definitely does. I remember early on, Chris Brummett told me that I have a tell. Yeah, I have ever since like worked on to do. He's like, every single time you have a good hand, it's like the meme of like you lean forward.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to go. Yeah. He told me that after a game. Like in a tournament. He's like, you know, every single time you have pummel, you lean forward. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
but we're not, you know, games are not necessarily just like in a vacuum, because like you also have like your own personal like story. And when I hear that, where my mind goes is like, interesting. The next time I play against Chris, when I draw a really bad hand, I'm gonna like
lean forward.
I'm gonna do this, you know, because and maybe some people will disagree with me. Maybe people are like, that's just deceptive, and you know, maybe that's how you're trying to get your edge. Well, no, I'm trying to play really good Flesh and Blood. Yeah. But also, it
doesn't change what the cards actually do.
It doesn't change what the cards actually do. I'm playing within the rules, and also, the opponent is always trying to get information from you. So if they're all always trying to maybe psychoanalyze you, then you can only sort of respond in kind, you know. And so you can either just try to keep all of your emotions to yourself and play stone face, or you can try to bluff, you know. That's the big skill in poker, you know. And we are playing a card game. So.
We are playing a card game. I mean, I don't necessarily. I'm definitely not stone face. I mean, I can't help myself but to make light of or joke about things when I'm playing a game, but I do think that I try to get away from that a little bit and be serious when I'm playing in like ProQuest and above kind of events. But an armory event, I'm so like something bad happens to me, I'm just like, you're and
you should
me.
Be. I'm only talking for really
of course. Yeah. Well, that's part of what I really love about this game, and the community in Colorado is just like unbelievably good. Is just like those moments in, you know, small armory events where like I'll always remember something that happened where my opponent had it and it was just like the perfect thing for them to have in that moment, and it's just so much fun to just be like, you have that.
If you're playing in an armory, if you're playing with friends, like have fun with it. I do the same. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm very expressive. I like
constantly bluffing.
I like the table talk. No. I only think about that when I'm taking it very seriously.
Yeah. No, the table talk is great. I mean, I think that I always try to. I'm always a little bit like, if I don't know the person, I'm way more reserved, obviously.
Yeah.
But I used to, at big events, like try to be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
But some people just don't want to be your friends. So it's better to just be like, we're both here to play this game and have fun, but we both have the same goal, which is win. And those are the best games when both people have that goal.
My tendency is to let my opponent kind of set the tone.
Yeah.
Even at big events, even at world level, I will concede to some, kind of table chat and even kind of in game, kind of goofing off and having fun, if that's sort of the energy that they bring.
Yeah.
And similarly, if they come in and they make it very clear that they're not being impolite or anything, but they want to only focus on the game actions and communicating those game actions, then that's kind of what I'll kind of settle into. Because I definitely don't want to ever bring an energy to the table that is off-putting to them, and I've always enjoyed sort of finding common ground with people.
Absolutely.
Well,
when you sit down on the table, we already have common ground. We both love Flesh and Blood.
Exactly, it's true.
Which is nice. It is always not necessarily challenging, but like an interesting thing when you just like high roll someone to hell, and like I never know what to say at the end of one of those games.
Yeah, that's really tough. Yeah,
it's really tough. I'm just like, good game, I guess. If I know the person, I just say game.
Yeah, just say game.
That's what I said to Charlie.
Yeah,
that's what I was like, oh, game, man.
Oh, game. Yeah.
But
it's tough. My default is always I want to acknowledge. I want to make it clear that I know that.
Now.
Yeah, I know, right? Sorry.
I've been worried about the fights the whole time.
I know the luck I got in that, but also that's not always what they want. So
right? Again, I don't want to. You don't want to like belittle someone and be like, "Oh, I got so lucky. Otherwise, you would have beat me or whatever." Because
exactly.
It doesn't often. It almost never comes down to that in this game. I feel like where like one specific lucky moment, like the cards in your deck, you see so much of your deck every single Flesh and Blood game. That it's just going to happen where you're going to have it when you need it at some point. You're
also not helping them process their loss well, because even if I had variance on my side, I think it's in their best interest to focus on the things that they could control. You always want to focus on what's in your control rather than what's outside of your control.
Yeah.
Usually when you end up kind of tilted or whatever, it's because something kind of bad happened to you, and you're letting it affect you.
Yeah.
And so, that's a really important skill to have as a player is processing your loss as well and your wins well. Just focusing on like learning little lessons and what you can control. So.
Yeah, I definitely try to. I mean, you never want to be like, oh, how did I throw this game? Like sometimes you just get outplayed.
Yeah.
Which is something that I try to like think about when I lose a game of just like, oh my gosh, like that person played this player or whatever so well. But obviously, that doesn't have. I don't lose often. But
yeah. I mean, have I ever beat you?
I don't think so. Not that I remember. Yeah. No, obviously, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, hell yeah! Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, hey, thanks. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks.
I don't know how to end this.
Yeah, no, it's.
I hope it's recording. Honestly.
I hope it's recording too.
That'd be tragic.
Yeah. Well,
otherwise, I'll just post the like 30-second clip of
that's it. Yeah.
This is the show. Long-time fan.
Yep.
Friend of the show. And Team Ascent is the team that we're on.
Yes.
And we have a sponsor.
We are on Team Ascent. Our sponsor is Min-Max Games.
Yeah. If you made it this far, and if I even don't cut. Hopefully, if it's not even recording.
Our Twitter tags are in the description.
Yeah.
So you got to give us a follow. Give this guy a follow.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Although we have, whatever. I don't know
if anyone is looking for interesting content, I am writing. I have a Patreon now. I'm hoping to grow it. If I do, then I have a lot of different kind of articles that I want to write. I just created my first members only one about tempo, and it's like a like 6,000 word deep dive on the topic. So check that out if it interests you.
Tempo is definitely an interesting topic and something that I intend to read as soon as I have a chance. And the money, because he's making me fork it over.
That's not true. I gave him a free version of it.
I shouldn't disparage you on my talk show. Anyways, I appreciate you coming on and doing this.